Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. We have a major update on the Xbox on PlayStation initiative, releases, whatever you want to call it. It ain't stopping anytime soon, and I think the Xbox games coming to PlayStation is something you can expect for the foreseeable future. Satya Nadella, chairman and CEO at Microsoft, noted my annual letter, Relevance and Reinvention. We are bringing great games to more people on more devices. With our acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which closed October 2023, we've added hundreds of millions of players to our ecosystem. We now have 20 franchises that have generated over $1 billion in lifetime revenue, from Candy Crush, Diablo, and Halo to Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, and Gears of War. A lot of those franchises did generate a lot of revenue, but a lot of those franchises also need to be revitalized, but nonetheless, they have a powerhouse of IPs under their umbrella, no doubting that. And with Xbox Cloud Gaming, we continue to innovate to offer players more ways to experience the games they love, where, when, and how they want. Finally, we brought 4 of our fan-favorite titles to Nintendo Switch and Sony PlayStation for the first time as we continue to extend our content to new platforms. Those 4 games included Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, as well as Sea of Thieves. So, right here, it is being confirmed that these games are going to continue to be released on more platforms, which I think is incredibly exciting, and I think it makes all the sense for Microsoft at this point. I think it's not a great position for the gaming industry in the sense that this is going to give PlayStation even more power in the console market, which is something that they do not need and they should not have. However, just viewing at it from Microsoft's lens, I almost think you have to throw in the towel as far as expecting Xbox as a whole to be revitalized in terms of the console market and being the front-runner console. I just don't think that's going to happen unless Sony just misfires for years and years and years and years, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Xbox at this point, given their acquisition of Activision, given the games that they are putting out, they want those games to sell to as many people as possible, but at the same time, it is going to be a bit of a balancing act where you don't want to mitigate the entire value of Xbox as a platform, while also trying to generate more revenue off of your games. And Indiana Jones from Bethesda, that's an expensive game, and locking that game to just Xbox and PC and not generating the revenue that you can get from the console leader, that would be a huge problem. I wouldn't imagine the Indiana Jones license is cheap to use, however much it was, and the game itself just looks like it has a significant budget attached to it. That's why it's a 6-month turnaround time for that game to hit PlayStation. Now, I don't know if there was other agreements in place with Indiana Jones' development, that it was outlined it would be on consoles, or whatever the deal is. I think that game might be an outlier, but also look at something like a Hellblade 2. You acquired Ninja Theory, which I would question the acquisition of Ninja Theory, but they put out Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 is another game that had a significant budget attached to it, and was that game a commercial success? I mean, we don't know, but I would have to venture to guess that it didn't see the sales numbers that I think people would have hoped for, and a big part of that is Hellblade is very much a game that would be catered towards a console audience. Well, it's not in the most dominant console that it's available on. Like, obviously the Switch exists, but you guys know how I feel about PlayStation versus Xbox versus Switch. Switch is kind of on an island on its own, and I doubt the Nintendo Switch could run Hellblade 2. No slight to the Nintendo Switch, I'm just throwing that out there. I think Hellblade 2 could have done fairly well on PlayStation. I'm not saying it would have been a juggernaut. I just think that game, you know, walking sim style game for $50 was gonna be a little bit of a hard sell, and I'm sure there were people that checked it out on Game Pass, but certainly games like that should be available on PlayStation if they do want to do the best. It's going to be a new era in Xbox when we see one of the major Xbox-created franchises on PlayStation. That is yet to happen, and when I say Xbox-created franchises, I am talking about Forza, Gears of War, Halo, or I'll throw Fable in there as well. Those are the 4 IPs that I feel like are absolutely synonymous with the Xbox brand, and if one of those games arrive to PlayStation, which, spoiler alert, I do believe in the future will happen. Maybe it might not be in the near future, but we already heard Forza Horizon 5 potentially coming to PlayStation 5, and given that Halo is moving on from the existing engine into Unreal Engine, that's going to make it easier to port to PlayStation. What better way to debut Halo on PlayStation than that supposed Halo remake that is in development? I just feel like that makes so much sense to do a Halo 1 remake on PlayStation 5. I would have argued the Master Chief Collection, but if you are going to do a Halo 1 remake, why dilute Halo coming to PlayStation by also dropping a Halo 1 in the form of the Master Chief Collection? I mean, I would love to see the MCC on PlayStation, but you should do the Halo 1 remake, and then you could do MCC sometime down the line, and if you want to remake all of the Halo titles, you could still remake it after that. But the first foray into PlayStation, you have one shot at that, because once the toothpaste is out of the tube and we see more of these big Xbox IPs on PlayStation, it's not going to be as wow. The wow factor is going to be diluted. The same thing happened with PlayStation bringing their games on PC. The wow factor is kind of gone, and now their games are just expected to be on PlayStation. That will certainly happen if Xbox consistently releases their games on PlayStation, but you know what? Halo is in desperate need of a revitalization, and one thing that would certainly enhance the momentum of a potential revitalization is for the first time to drop Halo on PlayStation. I was of the mindset that Halo Infinite would have been great on PlayStation and at least would have revitalized that as a live service property, but if you're wanting to move on from Halo Infinite and you want to start something new with Halo, and it really does feel like they're moving on to a new era for Halo, what better way, or what more of an emphatic way to embark on a new era for Halo than by doing a PlayStation release? And I don't know if it would be available day one. That's something for Microsoft to decide. A day one Halo release on PlayStation, while certainly that would reinvigorate inherent interest into Halo, that would be one of the more damning things that they could do for Xbox as a brand. I mean, you could already say that Xbox as a brand is already in the crapper, which, again, let me reiterate, is absolutely worst case scenario for us as the consumer. For PlayStation, it's great. PlayStation in-house, they're like, man, we don't even have to give these guys Lego Horizons and we're getting their games. They're chilling. They're straight chilling. They don't care, but you as the consumer should care, because this gives PlayStation way too much power, and it's a very unhealthy place to be in, where PlayStation can just kick their feet up, drop a bunch of live service games, hope those pop off, and realize that, hey, we're getting their games, we got third-party games, we can do whatever the hell we want, we can price $700 consoles, we could raise the price of PlayStation Plus. It don't matter, because there's no competition, or very little competition. Let me reiterate, as I've been reiterating for a long time, ultimately, Xbox not being as big of a player in the console market isn't going to be good for the PlayStation audience. It will be good for Xbox releasing their games on PlayStation. That's good. But in terms of what PlayStation is doing, boy oh boy, that's not going to be good for us in regards to what PlayStation is doing for the consumer. Xbox is in a position, and Microsoft is in a position, where they need to generate more revenue off their games by releasing them on PlayStation, or at least it's beneficial. So for them, that's just something they have to do. It's not like PlayStation's pushing for this, or they are demanding that this is happening outside of, you know, the Activision and Call of Duty stuff, but Hi-Fi Rush, I don't think PlayStation was drumming down the door of Microsoft being like, we need Hi-Fi Rush. No, it's just some way to create a accessory revenue stream, and obviously it would be much more impactful if it's something like Halo, but I do worry about PlayStation not having any competition in the direct console space. I think that's really bad for the consumer, because we've seen it before, what happens when there is very little competition or there's one dominant market leader. I feel like PlayStation was at its best when they did have their back against the wall a little bit towards the end of the PS3 era into the PlayStation 4. They had to do a lot of things to earn consumer trust, and I feel like if you don't have that level of competition, you can take consumer trust for granted and do whatever the hell you want, as PlayStation does a lot these days, because they don't really have their back against the wall, which is unfortunate for us, the consumer. But I digress. That's gonna do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. I don't know what game is going to be revealed next. I mean, we already know Indiana Jones is going to be arriving to PlayStation. I would have to think Elder Scrolls 6, when that comes out in 2037, that'll be on PlayStation 6, and it'll be interesting as far as titles like Halo, Gears of War, E-Day. I don't see E-Day being a day one PlayStation launch title. I think as far as those IPs, you really gotta be a little bit selective, and you gotta pick your spots. I don't think overnight we're gonna get those games day one on PlayStation, but 5-10 years from now, I think it's going to be a very different ball game. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.